Hey everyone, and welcome. So let's just jump right in. What if the future of your money isn't in your wallet or even in a bank branch, but inside a virtual universe? It sounds like sci-fi, but today we're going to explore how banking is getting ready for a massive shift into the metaverse. Seriously, just think about that for a second. Instead of just tapping on an app, what if you could put on a headset, walk into a virtual bank, and talk to a financial advisor's avatar? Or sign a mortgage with a totally secure digital handshake. Yeah, that's the wild new world we're unpacking today. All right, but before we get into virtual loans and crypto transactions, we've got to get on the same page. We need to actually understand what this new universe even is. So let's start with the absolute basics. Now, what's so interesting is that the term metaverse didn't come from some big tech company. Nope. It actually came from Neil Stephenson's 1992 sci-fi novel, Snow Crash. And it basically describes a digital space where our real world gets mapped into this parallel reality. So it's not just a game, it's a place. When you think about it, so much of our life is already online, right? From our jobs to our social lives and definitely our banking. The metaverse is really just the next logical step in that evolution, a more immersive, more interactive version of the internet. And according to the experts we'll be talking about, banks are going to have to adapt to this new reality. So, how in the world is this digital world actually built? To really get what's going on, we need to quickly break down a few key pieces of technology. Think of this as our little jargon buster section. These are the building blocks for this whole new financial frontier. First up, blockchain. Honestly, the easiest way to think about it is like a public digital receipt book. Every single transaction is a new entry, or a block, and it's cryptographically linked to the one before it. Once a block is added to that chain, it cannot be changed. It's tamper-proof, which makes the whole system incredibly secure and transparent. Next up, and you've definitely heard of these, NFTs. Okay, forget the cartoon apes for a second. In the world of finance, an NFT acts more like a unique digital deed. It uses that same blockchain technology to certify that you and only you own a specific digital asset. And that asset could be anything from art to, say, a complex financial product. And finally, we've got digital twins. This is the amazing tech that lets us create a perfect digital replica of something in the physical world and put it inside the metaverse. So you could have a digital twin of your actual house, or your car, or even an entire city, and you could interact with it virtually. Okay, tech class is over. Now let's get to the good stuff. Let's see how all this tech, the blockchain, NFTs, digital twins, comes together to change how you actually handle your money. What does a bank even look like when you combine all of this? Well, the possibilities are just huge. We're talking about way more engaging ways to communicate with your bank, instant international payments without all those annoying delays, and even totally new kinds of loans, like green loans that are tied to eco-friendly projects, all managed right there in the metaverse. Let's make this feel a bit more real. Quick example. Say Alice in China wants to send money to Bob in Europe. Instead of a slow, pretty expensive wire transfer, they use what's called a smart contract. Alice puts digital currency into it, Bob converts it on his end, and the whole thing is recorded securely and transparently on the blockchain. No traditional middlemen needed. It's faster, and it's almost certainly cheaper. Or take something we can all relate to, like getting a mortgage. The old way? It's just mountains of paperwork, right? And slow, manual checks. The metaverse way could use blockchain and smart contracts to automate all that verification, making the process faster, way more secure, and probably a whole lot less expensive for everybody involved. But of course, with any powerful new technology, it's not all sunshine and roses. This new world opens up some absolutely incredible doors, but it also creates entirely new dangers that we really need to be aware of. So we have to ask the critical question, right? While all this potential is super exciting, what are the real, tangible risks we're going to face when our financial lives start moving into this decentralized virtual space? Well, according to the research, the concerns are pretty significant. Look at this. At 40%, financial cybercrime is the biggest piece of the pie by far. That's followed by market manipulation, but you also have these huge challenges around regulation, data privacy, and even the environmental cost of the tech that powers it all. And just to give you a concrete example of that market manipulation, let's look at something called wash trading. This is where a bad actor trades an NFT back and forth between different digital wallets that they own. And what's the goal? It's to create a fake sales history that makes the asset look way more valuable and popular than it actually is. And honestly, the list of risks goes on. We're talking about massive crypto thefts, the real difficulty of verifying who people actually are online, and the huge carbon footprint of some of these digital currencies. There are even brand new threats, like criminals airdropping illicit images as NFTs directly into people's wallets without their consent. So, with all of this incredible potential on one hand, and these really serious risks on the other, what's the final verdict? Well, the insights we've been sharing are all grounded in solid research, so let's see what the experts who study this stuff for a living have to say. See, everything we've been talking about isn't just me speculating. It all comes from a detailed study of 48 subject matter experts. These are the people who specialize in this exact intersection of banking, finance, and metaverse innovation. And what did they find? Well, take a look at this. The experts confirmed a significant, statistically proven correlation between the metaverse and every single one of these banking functions. From communication to mortgages to security, the verdict is in. The link is real and it is strong. This quote from the study's conclusion, I think, just sums it up perfectly. This isn't just some minor tweak to how we bank. It's a transformative moment that promises a whole new way of operating and creating value. So, the key takeaway from all this is pretty clear. This is no longer science fiction. The foundational technologies are here, the potential uses are understood, and the experts are in agreement that a fundamental change is coming to the world of finance. Which really just leaves us with the ultimate question. As we stand here on the edge of this new frontier, are we building the secure, efficient future of finance, or are we just stepping into a digital Wild West full of new risks and new dangers? The tech is here. But the answer to that, well, that's still being written.